Welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Sol, and I have Jason here with me, and we're reviewing Barbie. Barbenheimer weekend. We're going to start off with our opening thoughts here. What do you think of the movie Barbie?
I mean, it was okay. It was just. Oh, wait a second. What am I doing? Everyone's read my tweets. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. It was honestly like probably it's got to be the best movie I've seen so far this year, and it is by far one of the best movies that I've seen in the theater in the last few years, and at least since I saw Dune. I honestly thought it was just a really amazing, wonderful time, and it was phenomenal. I laughed so hard. It was great. I loved it.
Some big praise there, some big praise. For me, opening thoughts, I think everyone was cast perfectly in this movie. Honestly, just all of the Kens, all of the Barbies. Rhea Perlman as Ruth Handler was just perfect. Michael Cera as Alan was maybe my favorite part of the movie. So this movie just cast perfectly, so well written, and really hits you in the feels in a way that you wouldn't expect it to. And as I said, this is Barbenheimer weekend. I did see both movies. We're not talking about Oppenheimer in this review, but you could expect that Oppenheimer is going to give you that kind of feel and something that you have to sit with and think at the end of that movie with the topic of that movie. You didn't expect that from Barbie, and yet it happened with Barbie as well.
I mean, my expectations were astronomical. I love Greta Gerwig, and like I really enjoyed like Little Women and Lady Bird, and just they were great. The marketing, I thought, like the trailer from the 2001 like shot in the trailer,
Mhm.
um, that was just from that trailer alone. I was like, oh my god, what is this movie going to be? There was part of me was like, oh, this movie's going to be quirky and fun and wonderful, and how
Mhm.
much of that is going to be is it going to go full four? And oh lord, does it. Like
Yeah.
it knows what it is, and just ram full speed ahead, just runs like a train through the wall. It just basically like it runs it, and it knows it from the beginning and just never stops. And it's a wonderful movie. When we
Yeah.
start going through our spoiler stuff, I'll talk about the other stuff.
All right. Speaking of spoiler, we're putting that spoiler alert graphic up. We are going to be spoiling the movie from here on out. And I first want to start with the themes of this movie because there's four main themes that I saw watching this movie, and one of them is what it means to be a woman in the real world, what it means to be human, that the patriarchy is bad for both sexes, for both men and women, and that no one gender should be in charge. It shouldn't be just men in charge, it shouldn't be just women in charge. And I want to start off with the what it means to be a woman in the real world. And that is perfectly shown with the America Ferrera scene when she is deprogramming the Barbies and speaking about, oh, you can't be too pretty, but then you also have to be like insanely pretty. You can't say no to a man because then you're a prude, but you can't say yes because then you're a slut. And just that dichotomy and how hard it is to be a woman in the real world. And the funny thing is that in my theater, like every woman in there, like you could just feel like the energy in the room. And then like there's literally women going, uh-huh, mm-hmm, that's right, like speaking out at America, the person, not the country, or the continents, but speaking at like at her at the screen, like in affirmation. And I thought it was so important for women to see it because you really feel seen, but also how important it was for men to see that, to see kind of like, yeah, this is sometimes what we have to go through and it's not great. As a man
Sometimes.
watching this in the theater,
Yeah.
how did you see that scene, and how did you see the way they depicted just in general what it means to be a woman in
I
this movie?
got a little emotional when I read this, and not just because of myself, but because of my wife. Because I feel like this is stuff that my wife has been screaming since 2016, and most women have been screaming since 2016, and people don't hear them or don't want to hear them, or they politicize it for like 5 minutes and then do this. And then this is one of the first movies that I think said it the way that a lot of women have been saying it, and it's gone to the masses in such a great stuff. And it's really interesting, so because like a lot of people politically and reviewers have male reviewers have been touching on this about like how this is on the nose, and I'm just like, yeah, of course it's on the nose, but it needs to be on the nose because they've been women have been subtle about this for years, and no one's, excuse my language, fucking hearing them. So it's
Yeah.
or listening to them. So it's like, of course, America Ferrera has got, and Greta Gerwig has got to write it. America Ferrera delivers it beautifully, and it's such a great thing because like, and it pops them, and it's like in the movie it's used as a deprogrammer because they're not used to the patriarchy. Their way of, like, when Ken brings it back, and just the whole thing with the patriarchy and the horses, he brings it back, and
But she
like
was only in it for the
right.
horses.
He was only in it for the horses, and it's like once he got done with it, once he realized it wasn't about the horses, he was like, "This is stupid. I'm not into this." But it's just like, God bless Ryan Gosling's performance, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
He is
But
Kenough.
yeah, but like, but when America Ferrera does that to the individual pieces, it's just like, but like you see like the president who just, she does not, she loses her power. You see other people who they're artists that like, I'm a doctor, but I, and like, she was a doctor, Barbie, she was a doctor in the beginning, and she no longer is a doctor. And then once they use this to deprogram, like, they go back to the way they realize who they are again, and their power again, and then like it just needed to be done, and it was just real, it was well done, it was great,
Mm.
it was really, really well done.
And I think we have a clip to share that I saw this clip today because my friend sent it to me on Instagram. We found it on YouTube, but I was like, if this was not America's Ferrera's speech in the movie. So we're gonna share and just laugh and react to this clip here.
Women have told everyone to just fuck off. Tired of being judged for choosing to have children or not have children, to have children and go back to work, to have children and not go back to work, for being too thin, too fat, too pushy, too unambitious, too hot, not hot enough, or even for just daring to be alive. Women have stressed that everyone can go fuck themselves. Nathan Muir has been gauging the reaction because apparently a man is the best person to report this story.
If you have a vagina, people have the right to judge you on every single thing you do, even what you do with your vagina. Or so it has been up until now. I spoke to one of womankind, or the clitorati, as no one is calling them, about their backlash.
I will be calling them that from now on.
Enough's enough. The message is clear, and the message is, you're right, we will do as you command. Just kidding, it's fuck off.
That's all from me.
Sassy Smurf.
When I saw that, I was like, I literally just saw that in the movie yesterday.
Yes, I mean, it was just honestly, one of my favorite moments of the movie was, when, Barbie's having this emotional crisis, because of everything that's going wrong in Barbie Land. And then there's this 2-second like line from Helen Mirren, the narrator Helen Mirren, where she goes like,
Note to
writers,
director.
note to directors and producers, Margot Robbie is not the right woman to be cast in this role, to be saying these kind of things. And it's
Yeah.
basically because like, I don't feel pretty, I am not this, I'm ugly, I am worthless and horrible. And you're just like,
Yeah,
what?
they're like, don't cast Margot Robbie if you want to get this point across.
And it's like, what? Like, it's again moments like that where you're just like, oh my God, like, it's just like it's beautiful. It's fourth wall breaking to the greatest, and it's really spot on, well done. And yeah, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it.
So the second theme that I saw was what it means to be human, because obviously we have the Barbies and the Kens and Alan in the Barbie world, and then we have the human world, and the way to get in between the Barbie world and the human world is just hilarious. But humans are flawed, and we see the ghost of Ruth, the creator of Barbie, and that Barbie is named Barbie after her daughter, and kind of just the dreams for just people in the future that, yeah, we're going to be flawed. Yeah, we're going to mess up, but we can still achieve such great things if we put our mind to it. And then
Mm.
the ending, when you have just a montage of just people doing normal things, and like, I look to the left and right. I mean, people are bawling, like legit bawling. And it's just like people blowing out of birthday candles and people like hugging their mom and like playing in the pool and things of that nature. And it's really like the simple things that makes you go, wow, humanity is so beautiful. And to be a human is to be flawed, but also to be beautiful in every way. And I love that about this movie. So, your thoughts on that theme?
So the thing I love about this aspect of the movie is you can tell that Greta Gerwig is a huge fan of film
Mhm,
because she's even stated in YouTube clips, and you can find the YouTube clips everywhere, and interviews and things that she said, where she used like 35 movies, I think, were her feature, that you can tell and see that she used as inspiration for Barbie. um
mm,
and I think you could probably add, she didn't mention Love Actually, but I feel like you could use Love Actually as this, because there's scenes in Love Actually in the beginning and the ending where they show, just as they did in Barbie, um, this beautiful montage of what it's like to be, people, and hugging in Heathrow and all this sort of stuff in Love Actually. But in this part that they're doing the birthday candles and the birthdays and everything else, where you're seeing people hugging and women being women. And I feel like it's such a just a it's a powerful moment that just it again, you're like, wait a second, what movie am I watching? Because you expect this
right.
movie to be like this really fun, wonderful movie, which it has been for the whole entire part, but it takes a breath to speak the message that it's trying to speak. And it's just
Mhm,
like that we do have flaws, and you know flaws, but that doesn't make us bad people or anything like that because we have
yeah.
these flaws.
Or even her on the bench with that lady, that like older woman, and telling her that she looks beautiful. And like, how many times do, and this for old women and older men, like when they get older and they don't get the respect or told that they're worthy, and like to see that being said to someone older. And I mean, that also plays on with like the Kens. The Kens don't feel respected in Barbie world,
Yep.
and that is why they rise up and try to start the patriarchy in Barbie world.
Well,
uh s-
yeah, yeah. It's just yeah. It's Yeah, and the interesting thing, you bring that scene up, there's again interviews and clips that were done with Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig, where they had to fight for that scene. That Warner Bros.
mhm,
Wanted them to cut that scene, and you're just like, and they were like, if we cut this scene, what is this movie about? And
right.
that scene is like, and yes, it's a 2-second clip where she is out of the building and sitting on a bench trying to reconnect herself, and she's trying to figure out like, what in the world am I seeing? And and she sees this older woman that's just like, you got it, it almost like, you got this, you can do this.
Mhm,
She looks at her and
yeah,
like, you're beautiful, and she's like, yes, I am. And it's just like,
yeah.
boom, you're just like, wow. Again, it's like, yeah, it's so great.
Great writing, great writing.
Great, 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 great. If this movie does not get a nominate, this movie, I swear to God, if this movie does not get nominated for directing and screenplay, and we'll talk about the effects in a minute, but like, if it does not get nominations, I'm literally going like, "What are you doing, Oscars? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?"
And then the third theme that I saw, like the patriarchy is bad for both men and women. And you really see this with our main Ken. Um, how he talks at the end of the movie that he was only in it because of the horses, and that running Barbie Land is hard work. And that I think too, he's like laying down, you could tell that he's wanting to cry, but he's like, I'm a newfound man now, so I can't have emotions. And I think the patriarchy of is so unfair to men. Like I feel so bad for men when they're taught to grow up and not feel and not have emotions and to not show love and caring, that they really truly are alone when they're going through things where like you see every Ken is feeling unworthy, unheard, unseen by all the other Barbies. They're kind of just keeping it to themselves.
Yeah.
And it's not a healthy world to live in and for them, and you feel kind of bad for the Kens, even though you're like, yeah, you want them to defeat the Kens and the Barbies to take control again, but you can't help but feel for them and want things to be well for them as well.
Exactly, and the thing is like, and this movie does it so well, and this is the part against some of our fellow reviewers that I just don't understand, or they're not seeing this because it again is just like it hits it perfectly. Like they're saying that like the Ken story doesn't exist, and I'm just like, are you kidding? The Ken story is there because in the beginning you have the Barbies that are like together in their sisterhood.
Mhm.
And then the Kens are basically accessories to Barbie, where they're not
Yeah.
really a brotherhood. They're just basically they're just like guys there as a group of guys, but they're not
Cheerleaders.
like, yeah, they're just cheerleaders, but they're not actually a group. And
Mhm.
then when Ryan Gosling comes to the real world and realizes that, wait a second, women, woman asks me for time, and
Yeah,
respects
she
me, and
respected me and
she
asked me for the
respected me,
time.
she respected me, and he has 3 watches on his wrist. It's
Yeah.
just like, it's just you. And then he comes back and he teaches them that, and then of course the men all the Kens are, wait a second, we are now, they're getting in a group together, but they
Yeah.
don't actually physically come together until that beautiful dance fighting scene between
Yes.
him and Simu Liu, which I just like. It was
And the song.
and the song, because like, and again, it's like, yeah, and again, I'll talk about the music here in a little bit, because again, that's another one of my favorite parts, was the way they did music in this movie. Like,
Mhm.
it's just it's done, it brings them together, and then when once the women, the Barbies regain the power, they're like, the guys are a group. They're more like solidified, and they're no longer those accessories. They're
Yeah.
now just like individual people with the Barbies themselves, and you can actually see them actually, the Barbies and the Kens actually coupling up, which you weren't really seeing that before, but now
Yeah.
you are.
And I love to in the end of it where Margot Robbie Barbie tells him like, "Hey, you need to find who Ken is. That maybe it's not just Barbie and Ken, maybe it's Barbie and it's Ken."
Hmm.
And him wearing the I am
Ken
Ken
enough.
off,
I'm
it
Ken enough.
was so
Yes.
funny.
Yes.
And the fact too, like, yeah, these Kens need to find their worth as well and be respected and and feel like they're being heard.
Hmm.
And the fact that you have Issa Rae, President Barbie, say at the end when you have Will Ferrell, CEO of Mattel, going, "We'll make Barbie World, Barbie Land back to the way it was." And she goes, "Well, maybe it shouldn't be the way it was because the women were completely in charge of Barbie Land. And yeah, it was great for the Barbies, but it wasn't that great for the Kens." And that's when we go to the final theme that I saw in this movie was no one gender should be in charge of everything,
Yep.
because that there needs to be a balance, because you see in the Barbie world, it is the Barbies in charge. The Kens don't have a say. And then you go to the real world and how shocked Margot Robbie Barbie is, like, at why aren't women in charge? Why is this? Why is men doing this? Why are men construction workers? Like being so confused about the real world and then also getting slapped on our ass too.
Oh, beautiful. Like, I thought honestly, I thought in the trailers that they might give away too much by showing the trailers, but those were throwaway scenes. Like,
Yeah.
it was like the guy slapping her on the ass and then her turning around and punching him and then getting arrested. And then them going to go, we need new clothes. So then they go to a place and they get new clothes and then they get arrested for shoplifting. So
Yeah.
it's like it's the but they're allowed to keep the clothes, which I'm just like, oh, this
Yeah.
this is just, yeah, movie, but whatever, it's a movie. But again, it's like you see the fact is that, like Greta Gerwig is saying, the fact is again that we have men can't do this, men can't do this alone, women can't do this alone. We need to be together as a
Yeah.
race. Like, and it's one of those like one people, that type of
Yeah.
deal.
One
It's
people,
like,
one love.
yeah, exactly. And it's
Yeah.
just this whole thing is like that's only all how we're gonna make it all great. And I love at the end where you're seeing the husband and the daughter, and America Ferrera's like full
Yeah.
family with the daughter and her husband trying to using Duolingo to learn Spanish, which I
Oh
thought
my
was,
God, that
as a
was
as someone who
oh
lives in Pittsburgh, I
so
was
good.
loving that. When I heard
It
the
was
ding,
so good.
I was like, yes, this is Duolingo. And before our movie started, they had like a little advertisement for Duolingo, and I was just like, oh my God, Duolingo, what? But but again, like it's just, and then she walks out to start her life, spoiler alert, as a human, is one of these where you're just like, because she wants to be,
Yeah.
and it's just like, that's just,
She's
yeah.
going to the gynecologist too.
Right, and you're not
It
expecting her.
was
You're thinking she's gonna go. She's
for
walking
a
into an
job
office for a
interview.
job interview or something. She's
Yeah.
just like, I'm here for to see my gynecologist. Black screen, and you're just like,
That was
mind blown. It was
hilarious.
great. It was
That
great.
was absolutely
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah,
But yeah, and you're seeing like it's a comment on the real world too, where you see the board of Mattel are all men, CEO, CFO, COO, like our CMO, like all of them are men. So it's like a talk on the real world of like how many boardrooms are all men or there's
right.
only one woman in that
Right.
boardroom
Or the
where
fact is what he says is like, "Hey, we've had like one
we
like
all
a
love
few years ago.
women.
We all love women. We used to have one like a few years ago and like all this sort of stuff." It's that whole entire line of like, "I'm a dad, I have daughters. I can't be a bad person because I have daughters." Like, and he even says like, I'm the mother of a son and all this sort of stuff. It's just that's
I'm the son of a
a
mother and a
son of
mother
a
of a
mother,
son.
son. I was like, yes, Will Ferrell, yes, like hit it.
Oh,
Or like later he goes like, I just want to stand up in a room and have a room sometimes and do tickle parties. And it's just like you're
can we
just like,
just
oh,
say no one else could have played that role other than Will
exactly.
Ferrell?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
honestly.
Exactly. It's the same. It's like, again, perfect. You were talking about earlier where the cast was perfect. Kate McKinnon is just as weird Barbie. She's absolutely perfect as weird
Yeah.
Barbie. And it's just like, because she does these really crazy things, which again, s- s- oh my God, just the joy, passion, and love that each member of this cast and crew put into it, where you can
Yeah.
see where they cared and they put everything they had. And then the movie was only made for $135 million, and you're just like, what? Because you're
Yeah.
looking at it, and then again you start looking at it and you listen again, where it was all practical. It was most of it was practical effects with a little bit of CGI. And
Yeah.
you were talking about earlier about the transitions. Those were all practical.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, it's just, this is the way Hollywood needs to look at this movie,
Mm.
and go, we don't need to make $300 million
You
movies
know they're
anymore.
gonna learn the wrong lessons.
Yes,
They
you know they
always
are,
do.
because they're going to do they'll be like, oh, Barbie and Oppenheimer work together, so we need to capitalize these two movies and put two great movies that make no sense, put them together and market it that way. And you're like,
Or even two
no,
bad ones.
yeah,
But
exactly,
going back to the no one gender, because you see it in the Barbie world where it is the exact reverse, and even like to an nth degree that it's not in the real world today, where like women do have their faculties in the real world, but in the Barbie world, the Kens have zero faculty at all. And it's showing that even that is not okay and that is wrong as well. And I love that it is showing that there needs to be a balance, because I think a lot of times people get wrong with feminism is they believe feminism means women are better than men, which
And
is,
women hate men, which isn't the case.
yeah, which is not the case at all. There
Mhm.
are some people who claim to be feminist
Which they're
who
not. Yeah.
say that rhetoric, they're not feminists.
Mhm.
Because to be a feminist is to want equality and equity. And that I'm not better than you and you're not better than me. We are equal and we should have equal opportunities. And so to have a world where those fake feminists would be, which Barbie land, where the women are completely in control and the men have zero faculty, that's not a good world to live in. And to live in our world, if it was the reverse, where men are completely in control and women have no faculty, which is not the case, but it used to be back in the day, that's also not a great world to live in. So there needs to be a world where both men and women have faculty, have choice, are able to be equal to one another. And because at the end of the day, yeah, men and women, we are different, but at the end of the day, we're also human beings. And like the before, what it means to be human and to be flawed but beautiful. That's the case for both men and women. And I love the way it's shown in this movie. And I really wish that people would actually see it for what it is saying in this movie, because it's the people that are going, "Oh, this is not a movie for men." I'm like,
Woke.
"Yeah, this
You're out of
is
your mind.
way this is honestly, I feel like this is more of a movie for men than it is for women, because it's saying like, "Yo, you it should not be all women in charge either." And if like some guys would open their minds to it, which I feel like most guys are, because my theater was full of men, just full of men dressed in full pink, and I loved it. But and they were enjoying the movie as well. So like honestly, I think it was done really well. Were there any other themes that you saw in the movie that you want to speak on?
No, not themes. No.
Mm.
I think you hit them all. You touched them and hit them perfectly. Basically, like guys, get out of it. It's basically Greta telling the world, get out of your way, get out of your own way, and let's do this together, because only together
Mhm.
can we make a difference and make this
Right.
world better. Yeah. Woke.
Now let's go to our favorite parts. So I'm gonna throw to you.
Oh God,
What
of
are
course
some of
you're
your
gonna give me first.
I know, you're probably gonna keep them down to, like, just a few, because I know there's a lot, but what are some of your favorite parts in this movie?
Okay. My favorite parts are the two what would be considered cameos.
Mm,
Um, John Cena has this really wonderful. John Cena and Dua Lipa have this really awesome cameo
mhm,
as mermaid Barbie and Ken's. And then you see them, and it's just you see you see them for a second in one part, and then when they cut back after the patriarchy is taking over Kendom, um, that it's you can see it, and you can see Dua Lipa like holding him a beer, so you get more of a hold on John Cena, and it's really well done. And it was awesome to see. Um,
mhm,
the Rhea Perlman as Ruth,
mhm,
because in the moment where Barbie's running through the building, she's kind of running away. She's almost been like put back in her box.
yeah,
Which I thought was really just a spot on thing, like, woman, get in your box and shut your mouth, which was just a really good like metaphor. Um, that then she runs out of the box and gets away. Because you even see them trying to zip tie her hands in the box and then she
yeah,
runs
yeah,
out. Um, but you see she runs into Ruth, and Ruth basically, come here, child. Like, you can tell where there was something. It doesn't specify who she is until later in the movie, but you are like, wait a second, who is this person? Like, why is
right,
this person like important? And why is she all of a sudden helping Barbie? Because she knows who Barbie is, and she gives her a tea to like help her,
mhm.
like everything's going to be okay, and that wonderful British thing, um, which
Tea
I
solves
loved,
everything.
which tea solves everything, and tea's the good beverage, to quote Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory. Um, and it's a beautiful scene, to go, and then which merges right into the next scene with the on the bus stop with the lady. Um, and it's just it's beautiful. It's beautifully it's well written, it's well acted, it's well shot. It's a really great spot. They have these really great lines which I thought were beautiful. There is a slight dig at Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I thought was phenomenal. It had me cackling. I was laughing so hard when I
It was
heard it.
so funny. My whole theater was laughing out loud.
My wife and I looked at each other going like, did Warner Brothers just let them do that? Like just basically take a shot at DC. Um,
And the funny thing is, I love the Zack Snyder movies. We here at Off the Wall are huge Zack Snyder supporters. We love his movies, and we've even jokingly been like hashtag bring back the Snyderverse. So I was just like, low key, they're taking a shot at me too. But you know what? It's hilarious.
it is, and it was great. I love the weirdo Barbie, the way they wait Kate McKinnon. I'm sometimes not a fan of Kate McKinnon because I feel like she goes way over the top in some of her parts, and she can sometimes go way overboard. But in this case, she's just perfect. Like
Yeah.
they have her like doing these like splits and doing this crazy poses and stuff, which you come to find
Barbie
out.
was played with way
Yeah,
too much.
right, right. And it's just like it's just like a perfect little thing. And let's see. I think I'll do one more. My last one is another scene where I thought like they that again Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie had to fight to keep in the movie, and that's the scene where she's getting Barbie thinking that she's done all these wonderful awesome things for girls and women in general. She walks into a thing because she feels like she needs to help this little girl. She finds her, and then she gives her a dressing down of like all the negatives that Barbie brings, and it's a really well done thing, and Barbie's just like
Yeah.
thrown back. Wait, what? And it's basically not like my wife tells me
What she
constantly.
thought.
Right. It's not about like intention. It's about how it's perceived, and it's just like it's one of
Mhm.
those like, and that's the best part about it. It's like the women like we don't play with Barbies anymore because they tell these negative things about women and everything about it. When all in reality, Barbie has been saying like, wait a second, we're fighting for all of this sort of stuff, and this is
Yeah.
our way of saying that women could do anything. And it's just
Right.
yeah. But again, I could speak on this movie and how great this movie is for forever because it's just yeah. Give Greta Gerwig her freaking director Oscar, please.
So I will agree with you on the Rhea Perlman as Ruth Handler was just perfect. And like I said to Will Ferrell, I know some people said that like his character was way too silly for the movie, but this movie is silly in general. This movie is silly and has heart and is serious. It like literally goes through all the tones and does it really well. But no one could play this role other than Will Ferrell, especially in the sense of the like, I'm a son of a mother and a mother of a son. I could see no one else
No.
giving that line other than Will Ferrell, which sometimes Will Ferrell sometimes crosses that line of like when he's being too ridiculously
Yes.
funny.
Yes.
But like he was just like he knew where the line was, and it was probably with the direction of Greta Gerwig. Michael
Again,
Cera
give
as
her.
Alan. Yeah, Michael Cera as Alan was just and then America Ferrera's husband, yeah, learning Spanish was so funny. And it's 2 scenes. It's literally 2 scenes. I think it's no more than 10 seconds each. And they're some of the funniest parts in the movie for me. Now I want to go into the fun part of this. Your favorite Barbie and your favorite Ken. You have to pick one. Who's your favorite Barbie? Who's your favorite Ken? I have mine if you need time to
I'll let
think.
you go first. I'll let you go first.
Okay. My favorite Barbie, hands down, Weird Barbie, Kate McKinnon. She plays the role perfectly. Anytime she's on screen, it's hilarious. And even though we do get some like discontinued Barbies, which is also funny, like we get a pregnant Barbie or we get a Barbie that like she grows up with you, if you know what I mean. Just lift your arm and but her house, her just because Kate McKinnon is, and this is not a diss at all, but she is weird in the best way possible. And she is that over the top actor sometimes.
Mhm.
But in this role, that's what Weird Barbie needs to be, is over the top and weird. and have stuff drawn on her face and her hair cut because someone played with her too hard. That is Kate McKinnon's Weird Barbie. That is like, it's perfect. My favorite Ken. And honestly, I think it's only because of Secret Invasion.
Yep.
But anytime Kingsley Benadir was on screen, the exact 180 of his character in Secret Invasion, he is so menacing in that show, and like he's like smiling and like happy-go-lucky,
And when
and
he
like
gets the
just this.
mink, like when he gets the mink, and you would feel like he just got given $1 million, and it's just like it's so like yeah.
And I'm like, this is so funny for completely unrelated reason to this movie. It is for something outside of this movie is why it's so funny to see Kingsley Benadir as Ken and just like, like, here's your ice cream. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. God, it's really hard to pick. It's really hard because I don't want to pick Margot and Ryan. I feel like that's a gimme because they're phenomenal in this and their roles and they're just fantastic. Um, but like I would have to like Weirdo Barbie, yeah. Kate McKinnon. I don't
Mhm.
normally pick Kate McKinnon because again, Kate McKinnon can be way over the top sometimes and a little much. But I feel like this is the power of Greta, where Greta told her to like take it to a level, but keep it like bring it's Greta's directing.
Walk right to the line, but don't
Yep,
step over it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I gotta go see Mew. I mean, it's just like because I don't want to do exactly the ones you picked. Too. But I think Simu is like really well done because again, it's when the dance fighting,
Yeah.
when Ken and when them are doing this, just like you're from like the moment when they're singing Matchbox 20, which oh my god, the music, the how the transition is like they sing closer to closer to find by like the Indigo Girls, which is a song from my childhood, which I absolutely love. And then Matchbox again, a song from my childhood. Like you have Matchbox 20, and they're using that to get the girls, and I'm just like, oh my god, yes. But like it's just the just see me do and that little dance number when I am Ken, I'm just Ken, and they come together with their shirts and they're doing this and you see the stars blinging up between them and then they
Yeah.
kind of like become brothers, like it's just and together it's just it's yeah, yeah, but
Yeah. It I mean, all the Kens and all the Barbies did a great job. Um, any final thoughts on the movie?
yeah, I think again I feel like Hollywood needs to look at this movie and see how they did this movie and how inexpensive they made this movie for summer blockbuster standards. I say inexpensive because 135 compared to most movies, summer blockbusters. This is a quirky movie, and you would think that
Yeah.
this movie being made for 135 million dollars is going to be like what garbage. However, like they made this movie. You can see where the sets are so well done. The costuming is so well done. The production design is so well done. Like from the dream house, the bar, the toy, the way they did the toy and the real world, they don't look the same. They look completely different, and yet they're so lived in and so real. And then you come back and you have these but it's all practical effects, not CGI. They're not doing this in front of a green screen. If it was very little. And then so you can make this money and do a good job and you make it an experience. This is the kind of theater experience that people need to see. Like this is the kind of like you go with your friends and you go watch this movie. That's one of the reasons why I think this movie is succeeding is because of the fact is and so it succeeds is because it is a theater going experience. It's one of the first. It's like, hey, 2020, goodbye 2020, the pandemic. I feel like Barbie is saying goodbye to the pandemic, like because it's just people coming out in droves to go party with their friends and see a movie.
Barbenheimer, man.
Yeah,
Barbenheimer is as I said, I participated. I saw both movies in the same day. If I were to say which one is the both movies are good. Both movies are written so well. Both movies are directed so well. I have to say which one is like the masterpiece to me. It is Oppenheimer, but I loved both movies. If I know I asked you before if you had anything you didn't like and you couldn't think of anything, so I will put like my like littlest of nitpicks, and literally they are nitpicks. And you even spoke on this too, where there were moments where things were on the nose, but then I thought about it afterwards and I was like, it kind of had to be on the nose because for some people to actually get it. So it's one of those things where it's just like for normal everyday people that's super on the nose and you're like, yeah, we don't need that. But for like if it reaches someone else that like needs it to be on the nose, unfortunately, then it's a good thing. Um I will say there were moments the movie did feel a little long at times. And so it could have been tightened up little here, a little there, but I wouldn't have taken out those scenes that Margot and Greta had to fight for because those scenes needed to be in the movie. But there was a few areas here and there that could have been tightened up.
Yeah, maybe a second or two here and there, like
Yeah.
where you saw, but when you saw the boardroom going back to Barbie Land, like you maybe could have cut that a hair, but I think it's there to see, just again, the guy, because again, and when you're watching this movie, you're thinking the boardroom's coming to Barbie Land, they're going to destroy Barbie Land. But like,
But they want to save Barbie Land.
but
They
right,
want to
they're
make
trying
it
to,
they
right.
want it to be back to the way it was before, but the Barbies don't want that. The Barbies want Ken to have a voice, as much of a voice as women have in the real world, which was everyone laughed out loud, the men and the women in
Oh,
my
it
theater.
was so good. It was yeah,
So,
it's so good.
like, you cannot be a Supreme Court judge, but you could be one on like an appellate court. And I'm like, that's so fun because like we do have women on the Supreme Court, like in the real world, but that was so funny. It's just like, nah, we'll let you have some power, not enough, but some.
That's what I
Where
liked about
before
this.
they
Yeah.
which is a big step for them because they came from zero, like literally zero power for the Kens. So it's not exactly equal for the Kens yet in Barbie Land, but maybe in the future it will be.
So you said
Uh,
you saw Oppenheimer and Barbie in the same day?
yeah, I saw Oppenheimer first. Saw Oppenheimer at 10:30 a.m. in the morning and a full screening, and I saw Barbie at 10:45 p.m. at night at a full screening. Both movies were great, and I highly recommend seeing both movies. I think you and I liked this movie, Barbie. But let us know what you guys thought down in the comments below. We have trailer reactions that Jason and I have both done together. We have movie reviews coming out, TV reviews. Make sure to see us I think it's now Thursdays. Every Thursdays we're doing our Secret Invasion live reviews, me and Mike. So make sure to come and see that on Thursday because it's the season finale, baby. Come see Kingsley Benadir be a complete 180 of his character in this movie. But we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.